Hey, what's up, folks? How's it going? Welcome to Moment of Clarity. I got a lot of good news for you, and I mean both largely good news, but also news that is important to know. So in that way, it's good news, but also good news. So good news, but also good news. And yeah, thanks for being here. Please take a second to share this, let people know, spread the word, and if you donate on the super chat, all those donations go to people who are struggling. It goes to you guys. If you're one of the people that are struggling, you can email commoncensored at protonmail.com. As far as I know, we're maybe the only Moment of Clarity and Common Censored, maybe the only indie outlets that pump all the money back in to you. So there you go. Hopefully, I mean, maybe we're the only ones. There might be someone else doing it, but I kind of like it. I like that I get to help you guys out like that. Those of you who are having a rough time, hopefully none of you are having a rough time. That'd be awesome. I'd love to have nobody out there struggling. So yeah, let's get into some of this. I'm also live at rockfin.com/Lee Camp. You can get all this stuff there. You can also donate there. And if you're not watching this live, you can donate on Venmo at Lee Camp. All of those donations get donated to those who are struggling, those in need. But I just kind of, I'm going to get more into this in a minute, but I wanted to start with something that's fucking awesome and hilarious. You guys recall when Andrew Yang, and I did an episode trashing him on this, but also other people did too. Everyone was talking about it. Andrew Yang was doing his, I fully support Israel as they bomb children, you know, that whole routine. I love supporting child bombing. That's my thing. That's what I do on weekends, you know. Sometimes I'll go sailing. Sometimes I just support some child bombing, some good old child bombing. So Andrew Yang running for mayor in New York City because he has spent many a month in New York City. He's fairly new there, but carpetbagging is nothing new. That's how we work these days. Anyway, Andrew Yang put out that garbage tweet and interviews. No, it was a garbage interview. That's right, and also tweets. But there was a garbage interview saying, "We support Israel. We love Israel. Israel's awesome. Everything Israel." Here's the quote here. I didn't realize I had the quote. He said, "I'm standing with the people of Israel who are coming under bombardment attacks." Yes, the little explosives that have killed 5 people versus the IDF's missiles that killed over 200. Anyway, he said, bombardment attacks and condemn the Hamas terrorists. The people of NYC will always stand with our brothers and sisters in Israel who face down terrorism and persevere. So what is the good news I was talking about? Part of it is that Andrew Yang's numbers have tanked since he did that shit. And here's the thing. Andrew Yang's got some better stuff than maybe some people. He does talk about UBI, but now he's started saying that it'd be means tested. You know, he's brought it down to like universal basic income for 12 homeless people, which guess what? You need to cut the universal and basic out of that. So it's just income for 12 people because you've cut off kind of many of the key components. Anyway, he's got some good things, but this is such garbage that I'm sorry. I still need to celebrate that his numbers have tanked since he did that, since he ran around saying, I support bombing of children in an open air prison in an apartheid state. Yay. Ever since he did that, his numbers. This is Alan McLeod, and I'm going to get more into this article. It's not all about Andrew Yang. I'm just starting with a little piece of it. But his numbers have gone from 32%. He was polling at 32%, the runaway favorite for mayor. Today, his support has dropped to 15%, and he's fallen into 3rd place for mayor. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying the other candidates are good, okay? I'm sure they're garbage, too. But maybe Andrew Yang needs to have ironically, a come to Jesus moment, a come to Moses moment. He needs to consider what this means, that people won't put up with this kind of celebration of war crimes. And he needs to change his position if he wants to win mayor of New York. Okay? If he wants that to be a thing he does, then he needs to reconsider these positions. So I'm not saying, oh, yay, other mayor candidate. And you can tell how much I'm really into following the mayoral campaign in New York. I don't know who the other candidates are. I don't even know if de Blasio is running again. So I pride myself on not keeping up in all of the electoral politics. But Yang's numbers have collapsed because of that. And he's getting heckled at his events. He's canceled public appearances because he's getting heckled at his events. Because guess what? A lot of his supporters were leftists. A lot of his supporters are people who don't support war crimes. And so he just said to all of them, that's what he did. He just flicked them the fuck off and his numbers crashed. So maybe reconsider your stance on that, Andrew Yang. But that's not what the whole article is about. That is just a piece of it. This is and I'll share it with you here. This is an article in Mint Press about the shifting of the Overton window by, one of the journalists I like to quote a lot. I've had him on this show. I've had him on Moment of Clarity. But it's about why the Overton window has suddenly shifted on Israel-Palestine. There is little doubt that the Overton window on Israel-Palestine is rapidly shifting. To understand why, Mint Press spoke to academics, experts, and rights groups familiar with the subject. And Alan does a great job of going into the shift, which has been immense. And I think that is what should be highlighted here. This shift has been immense over just a few years. And it's thanks to people like you. It's thanks to indie journalists. It's thanks to those who were willing to and continue to be willing to stand up and talk about this shit, even if, and it's changing now, but even if it's risky to their career, even if saying that Israel's an apartheid state could be risky to their friendships, to their family ships, like a ship that a family built, like a boat you all got together on, and they were like, get off the boat unless you support Israel. So if it's been risky to that, people have still been talking about it, and they're not backing down. And so the Overton window, which most of you probably know, it's the window of allowable discussion, right? So one of the examples I like to mention a lot is the Overton window says you can discuss how much workers get paid. You can discuss whether workers should get paid less, whether they're getting paid right. You can discuss whether they're not working hard enough, whether they should have a little easier time, whether they should get better insurance. That's all inside the Overton window. What's outside of the Overton window? Unemployment. Maybe we shouldn't be working this fucking hard. Maybe wage slavery isn't the way to go. Maybe we could set up a society where we don't all fucking slave at jobs we hate 24/7. I'm not saying I hate this one. I love you guys. I'm not saying I hate this. I'm cool here. I like this. I'm cool with this. I'm not. Listen. I'm okay. Just calm down. Just calm down for a second. I'm not saying I hate you guys. I like this, but most people are working at jobs they hate, and having that discussion about, hey, maybe in an actual good adult-brained functioning society, we wouldn't all be working so hard. In fact, there'd be very little work that you hated doing, that you had to do. Because we live in a world now where we're beyond scarcity. If we actually took the materials and the food and everything else and distributed it correctly, we're beyond scarcity. And so why would that make sense for us all to kill ourselves working at jobs we hate? Not this one. I like you guys. I'm cool. You guys, you're great. Don't get upset. Cool with this. But most people really struggling, miserable at jobs they hate. So why is that system okay? Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I'm getting off the tracks on a third rail. How bizarre is that? I've gotten off track onto a third rail topic. Anyway, that's outside of the Overton window, right? You will never hear that discussion on your mainstream media, not even the occasional guests that they have on their mainstream media, outside Overton window. So that's what the Overton window is. But we're not talking about that issue. We're talking about Israel right now. And Alan McLeod points out that in just 2014, in the 2014 onslaught that happened in Gaza, this was Israel attacking Gaza again, 2014, Jessica Ramos, a progressive Democratic Party district leader in Queens, New York, took to Facebook simply to post the word Palestine and a little heart emoji. That's all she posted. And that statement elicited a storm of condemnation and near hysteria from the political and media classes. 7 years later, however, Ramos's innocuous statement, didn't inoculator, but innocuous statement is nothing to the strong denunciations of Israel seen in the highest halls of power. That's how much shift has happened. That's how different things are. If you post Palestine with a little heart emoji, then it's not going to tank your career nowadays. It's kind of common. I mean, people are woke enough that is a common thing to post. And so he then gets into the Democratic lawmakers who are speaking out about Palestine. And I think that's great. We all know that the squad, that many of these members have let us down on many things, but at least there's a little movement here. And so Alan McLeod goes, let's see. Representative Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which is 100 members, and about 3 of them are actually progressive, straightforwardly labeled Israel as the oppressor, condemning it for, quote, forced removal of people in their homes, subjecting Palestinian children to military trials, and the dehumanization of the lives of Palestinians by having roads and entrances that are separate from some people, which all too often looks like former South Africa, basically straight up calling it an apartheid state. Representative Ayanna Pressley, herself no radical, described Israel as an apartheid state. Ilhan Omar, one of the first Muslim women in Congress, denounced the violence. She said the United States should not stand idly by while crimes against humanity are being committed with our backing. So that's several of the people. And this used to be non-existent to have anyone speak like this in Congress. And I don't want to I am not sitting here going, and this is why the squad is wonderful. No, I'm saying the reverse. I'm saying that we have shifted the Overton window. We have shifted what is allowable for these politicians, many of whom are just suck in most ways, many of whom voted present rather than voting no on giving $1 billion more to Capitol Hill police. So, or voted yay. Either one, present or yay, bullshit. So they're bad on many things, but the fact that we have moved the conversation here has gotten us to this point where you have mainstream media that is no longer equivocating on Israel. They're calling it ethnic cleansing. Rashida Tlaib did. Solidarity with the Palestinian people. And then Alan goes on to talk about how the perhaps even more surprising is not that some of the slightly more progressive people in Congress have said these things, but that the center of these Democrats, these centrist Democrats who are really Republicans, but no, it says Democrat on my name tag right there. Yeah, but you're a fucking Republican. Well, it says Republican on the back, which is the part that touches my heart. So the centrists have been relatively quiet. The New York Times, and by the way, also the New York Times has been a little faulty on their defense of Israel. They've certainly defended them some, but they've also aired some of like the fucking horror show. They have on the front page of the New York Times today, they are showing the names of the children of the Palestinian children who were murdered by Israel's attack. That's on the the digital front page of New York Times. Now, don't act like that means the New York Times has had 100% change, but it means that's fucking progress and where the Overton window is. The conspicuous silence of the establishment wing of the party has been truly significant. Famously pro-Israel Senator Chuck Schumer, it noted, has been largely silent since the assault began on May 7th. The Times generally strongly pro-Israeli government even gave Senator Bernie Sanders an article to state categorically that Palestinian lives matter, meaning they allowed Bernie Sanders to speak. So, again, don't take this as the New York Times is wonderful, but this shows how far the Overton window has moved. Then he talks about Andrew Yang fucking collapsing. And he brings up another great point of how quickly the media has shifted. So this is over a few years, right? This is similar to the shift in gay marriage. Gay marriage was still like, if you polled Americans, and I don't know the year window, but like when I was in college, so whatever, year 2000, if you polled Americans, they were still way over 50% said there shouldn't be gay marriage. They might have said there should be civil unions, but they still weren't supporting full-on gay marriage. And then the shift over 10 years was like crazy, to the point where, somebody going, there cannot be gay marriage, was seen as a troglodyte, which is the way it should be. And it's happening again with this shift on Israel. Now, it also needs to happen with the American empire's bombing of children and innocent civilians on a daily basis. So there is that. It's not like there's been a shift on all human rights attacks. I don't see CNN doing a lot of great coverage on how the U.S. is fucking destroying Venezuela. So let's not give them too much credit. But anyway, Alan McLeod points out that just 3 years ago, CNN fired its contributor. You might remember this story, Professor Mark Lamont Hill, over his speech at the United Nations, where he compared Israel to apartheid South Africa and hoped for a free Palestine from the river to the sea. That phrase, critics claimed, was a dog whistle calling for the destruction of Israel. Calling for a free Palestine, they claim, is calling for destruction of Israel. So they fired him from CNN. He was a contributor. Yet last week, MSNBC host Ali Velshi felt comfortable going on a long monologue lambasting Israel and calling for a complete rethink of U.S. foreign policy with respect to the Jewish state. So that's how far things have come, that Ali Velshi does not get fired for that. Now, again, Ali Velshi has some questionable stuff as well. He will do segments where he has on senators to talk about how horrible Maduro and Venezuela are and how they're going to get us. I don't know if you've checked it's the recycling dumpster bins. If you have like larger recycling bins outside your place, his apartment, house, whatever, that you take, you take them out to the street or whatever, and they pick them up, or apartment building, they down the basement. Those like bigger ones, the recycling, ours are blue. They could be green, whatever your color is, but bigger recycling bins. Maduro is hiding in most of those. So he's there. I mean, I haven't seen him myself, but CNN says he's there, and he will. What you'll do is you'll go and you'll bring your recycling. You open up the lid, and he goes, ah, and he just gets you right in the stomach with like a little. He's got like a little thing he sharpened into a shiv, and he'll just and you're like, I just want to recycle, but it's too late. It's too late. Maduro got you. So, CNN was saying that. I can't imagine they're wrong. I can't imagine they'd make that up. So yeah, Ali Velshi has some issues as well. However, on this issue, on Israel, you're now getting to the point that this is mainstream media, and they're not firing him. They're not even calling him to task. He doesn't have to go on Twitter and say, I'd like to apologize for the bliggity blue. I'd like to, please allow me. Now, Mark Ruffalo did, however. Mark Ruffalo tweeted that that Israel's committing genocide. And apparently enough people got to him that he posted an apology and said, I should not have used hyperbole. It's on all sides. Things are rough on all sides. So someone got to him. Mark Ruffalo is great on a lot of things, but apparently he started to fear for the Hulk contract they were holding it up, about to tear it. And, they're like, how you tear off your clothes when you're the Hulk? We'll tear this fucking contract up. And he was like, oh, wait. I just reconsidered. Because you know what? Because he can't actually. Because if he could actually turn into the Hulk like in real life, then he would have fucked him up. But apparently, Apparently they do that shit with like, I don't know, computers or something. It's not, I until the third movie, I thought Mark Ruffalo could actually do that. But no, it's, I don't know. They have it's magic of Hollywood. I don't know how they do it. So yeah, anyway, great article on, and actually I will put that article in the comment section if you wanted to share it with people. Yeah, if you want to talk to people about how the Overton window is shifting on Palestine, then that is a great article to do it. Let's see, what other stories do I have for you? By the way, all your if you donate on the Super Chat, on Rockfin, or on Venmo at Lee Camp, all of those donations go to people who are struggling, people in need. I think we're the only channel that does that actually funnels the money back to you guys. We're like the and I say I realize I'm not doing the royal we. Like, hi, we the Lee Camps are doing this. No, I mean we, because Eleanor Goldfield does it with me on the Sunday live streams. So we funnel all that money back to you, back to those of you who are struggling. You can email commonsensor@protonmail.com. It's not tons of money. It's not going to fund your cancer treatments. It's like if $50 might make a huge difference and get you through the weekend or something, then that's what we're talking about. And it's also not like immediate, because we got to collect numbers and shit like that. And it's a bitch, but I don't even like doing it, to be honest with you. I don't like the number crunching. I like getting the money back to people that are struggling, but I don't like the whole like sitting down with a fucking calculator and shit. Isn't it amazing? I still manage to complain about a calculator. It'd be one thing if I were complaining that I have to do the math myself, but instead I'm like, I gotta push a thing. Oh, what? My finger tired. Finger hurts. Too many buttons. So that's where the donations go. Okay, let's see these other stories I wanted. It really is all good news today. Okay. So this one's related. This is about now. This isn't. By the way, when I was saying the media is allowing some discussion on Palestine, that does not mean they're still great. It doesn't mean they're not. That Ali Velshi rant was like Alan McLeod mentioned it because it's unusual, not because it's every 3 minutes, like, some Russiagate story. But this is interesting. This is a leaked document from CNN. Let's see here. Yeah, this is a leaked document. Dina Takruri wrote, this CNN internal memo directs staff to say Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health when reporting casualty numbers. It was sent by the Jerusalem bureau chief. So CNN's Jerusalem bureau chief sent this email to everybody. And Dina Takruri says this is a page straight out of Israel's playbook. It serves to justify the attacks on civilians and medical facilities. So this is to CNN reporters in general to remind them to link Hamas to everything, because they want people they've done years of propaganda to make everybody think that everything Hamas does is evil, right? Hamas is just evil, bad guy. It's fucking Skeletor. Skeletor runs Hamas. And so anything Hamas touches is therefore evil by association. It's similar to what they've done with Russia, right? Anything Russia touches, evil by association. So that's what they want to do with these numbers of those who have been killed in Gaza. They want people to associate the numbers as like connected to evil entity. So here's the the leaked email. Super desk guidance on Gaza fatalities. We need to be transparent, yeah, right, about the fact the Ministry of Health in Gaza is run by Hamas. Consequently, when we cite latest casualty numbers and attribute to the health ministry in Gaza. We need to include the fact it is Hamas run. Here's an example. Quote, latest figures from the Hamas run Gaza Ministry of Health put the numbers of fatalities at ... So it's basically telling CNN correspondents how to do appropriate propaganda. Here's how you do propaganda. We have spent years teaching everybody, meaning the world, but especially America and, Britain, but mainly America, that anything that's Hamas connected is evil, right? Is terrorist. Whereas Hamas is a political party. Even if you wanted to say when Hamas fires a rocket, that is a terrorist act similar to the IDF missiles, although one is much larger than the other. But even if you wanted to claim that, whereas many just go, well, it's defending themselves. But even if you wanted to claim that's a terrorist act, Hamas is a political party that does many things. It, provides food for people, education, all of this shit, or it tries to, considering it can't get any materials and clean water and shit, or electricity. However, it is a political party that does a lot of things, So it'd be like if, anytime you heard like British government, it was connected to terrorism in your mind. Now, I know some of you may be like, well, in my mind it is. But still, so like if you read that the British government health numbers said this many people got cancer last year, it'd be like the reporter being like, terrorist-connected health numbers show that this many people got cancer last year. And that's what they're trying to, this leaked email is trying to tell them how to do appropriate propaganda. Here's how you do it, folks, all right? Don't forget to scare the living piss out of every old grandma watching her TV in the Midwest. Say, Hamas evildoers run Gaza Health Ministry. Hamas, blood trickling from the mouth, Gaza Health Ministry. Just a little blood trickle from the last baby heart that Hamas ate. Those are the health numbers that we are relaying to you right now. So anyway, very fascinating, although not surprising, but very fascinating leaked email from CNN to other CNN reporters from the super desk. It's a super desk. You should see it. It's big. It's got depth to it. I feel like a desk with good depth is just harder to find. It's got girth. This desk it's wood and it's got length and girth. So the super desk told the other reporters, don't forget to say it's Hamas run because we've created a propaganda, world around the word Hamas. And so if you say Hamas run, then it'll be kind of like you're saying, don't take these numbers seriously. It's a dog whistle like, hey, don't take these numbers seriously because they come from terrorists. So leaked email that reveals how CNN does their lovely propaganda, which we're all, I think if you're watching this, you're a big fan of. Big fan. So let's get to, I got a couple more stories. Let's get to the fact that that suddenly the Biden administration and the U.S. government has decided they are going to talk about how COVID was leaked from a Wuhan lab, even though it's likely horseshit. But all of a sudden, that is a thing. And despite the fact that these same media outlets spent all last year saying that wasn't true. Let's see, where is this article? Saying that wasn't true and that it was a Trump made-up lie. But Biden calls for new U.S. report on virus origins in 90 days. So Joe Biden is putting a group together to say he wants to look in to whether this was leaked from a lab. Biden calls for the U.S. intelligence agencies to redouble investigation efforts into the origins of the virus. Just how big could India's true tolls be? That's separate. Let's see here. in a statement, made it clear that intelligence agencies has not reached consensus on how the virus. International team of experts faced mounting criticism for dismissing the possibility that it accidentally escaped from a Chinese laboratory. So there's a lot of things going on here. I mean, this is hilarious because this is the U.S. government throwing out this theory, meaning discarding it, meaning saying, oh, no, that theory is false, as it never could happen. It's not from a bio weapons lab. They did that all last year because it was useful to go against Trump and everything he says. Now, Trump makes shit up, all right? Trump is fucking full of lies. So who knows where he initially got that. But it's hilarious that they threw this out for a year, discarded it for a year, and now all of a sudden they're circling back to it and saying, oh yeah, maybe it did leak from a lab. Maybe it did. And I think, well, almost without a doubt, the reason that is happening is because now they're realizing that it's useful for U.S. propaganda against China. So all of a sudden, it is, now that Trump is out of office, it's useful for the U.S. government to say, no, maybe it was a China Wuhan lab. I mean, think of it. This would be like the U.S. government comes off like a maniac over the span of the past year. Like literally, like running around frothing at the mouth. It wasn't leaked from a Wuhan lab. That Donald Trump is out of his mind, and we're going to ban you from Facebook if you say it was leaked from a Wuhan lab. What's that? Well, I think it might have been leaked from a Wuhan lab. But you just said it wasn't. No, I know. I never said that. I never said it wasn't. I said maybe. I said maybe. No, you fucking didn't. You said it was bullshit. But it gets even better because it likely was not leaked from a Wuhan lab. I mean, here's the thing. If it comes out that it was, all right, then I'll report that, what do you know? Bioweapons in China created this thing. But here's why it's likely it was not leaked from a Wuhan lab. This is a Reuters article from 2020, November 2020. Researchers find coronavirus was circulating in Italy earlier than thought. The new coronavirus was circulating in Italy in September 2019. A study by the National Cancer Institute of the Italian city of Milan shows, signaling that it might have spread beyond China earlier than thought. So they still managed to factor China in there because they don't want to. Here's the thing: they don't want to say it could come from anywhere other than China, because right, you gotta make it the evildoers put it into the world. Whether they did that intentionally or accidentally, that's kind of a side thought. Just as long as we set up that it was evildoers. I mean, we know it was evildoers. Couldn't have been one of those people we're kind of allied with, like Italy or fucking Germany or anywhere in Europe. We're not. We're with them on NATO and shit. So yeah, no, it's got to be. It came from the evildoers. Came from China probably, or North Korea or Iran. That's probably where it came from. The bad people probably because they eat bats. They eat bats at street markets, and that's why that happened. So if it was circulating in Italy, that's months before we were told that it was spreading in China. Then how the fuck? I mean, it seems to make almost no sense. But Biden and his team are not mentioning that right now because that would go against their new propaganda, which is, never mind, China leaked it. Never mind, China is responsible for killing all these people. Okay, so yeah, pretty incredible change there. I mean, to go back on all the shit that, and it's also why people have been so critical of the CDC. The CDC said don't wear masks for a month, and then they said wear masks. And then now they're saying, oh, don't wear a mask outside. Well, maybe wear a mask outside. And it really confuses the fuck out of people. Now, it makes sense that if there is really a pandemic that is spreading via the air, via what shit you're spitting out of your face, then of course masks are going to help. But, you know, the CDC has done a shit job. Okay, so let's get to another good news story, and then I'll wrap this up. But it's actually multiple stories. So this is from Stephen Donziger, who you guys know. I had him on Moment of Clarity recently. We've been talking about his story for years. And by the way, this is another... I love how... I mean, if you look at it, we're having a big impact. And I don't mean just Redacted Tonight. I mean, you add up Redacted Tonight and all these other great indie journalists, Abby Martin and Max Blumenthal, the Gray Zone, Mint Press, Minar over at Mint Press, Popular Resistance, so many, Eugene Puryear. You just add up all these people, Aaron Mate, and it's having an impact. It's moving the conversation. It's moving the Overton window. So on one thing was on the way we're talking about Israel, because, that started the ability to talk about Israel in a real way in America started to really gain traction in like leftist media. That's where it was really getting talked about. Max Blumenthal put out the book Goliath years ago, several years ago, maybe 10 or something. And it was a moderate hit. And it meant that he was not going to get a job on mainstream media, but I don't think he was worried about that. I don't think he thought he would, but it certainly ended that idea for him. But it's opening up this space where we can talk about Israel. So that's number one, just today. Number two is discussing Stephen Donziger and the fact that he's being persecuted by Chevron, a Chevron-linked corrupt judge, a Chevron prosecutor. Like a oil company is destroying the life of a lawyer who won a lawsuit against them. Like, it's so crazy. But we've been talking about him. I did reports on him on Redacted Tonight 5-6 years ago. I was covering his lawsuit, even though he himself was not as persecuted when I started covering it. So it wasn't about him. It was just about the fact that they'd won the lawsuit in Ecuador against Chevron. I covered that before I ever had Redacted Tonight. So back in the original Moment of Clarity days, I covered that story. And we've been talking about Donziger for years now. And now it's becoming mainstream. The Nation covers his story regularly. He just had a segment on The Daily Show. So The Daily Show has finally noticed this shit is going on. And it's now the Overton window is shifting. His story is becoming closer to mainstream. So here is his tweet, but, and it's not even about his story, really. But he's becoming a bit of a celebrity, which is awesome. Breaking today, this is from Donziger. Today likely will go down in history as a major turning point in saving our planet. Dutch court orders, a Dutch court ordered Shell to have, cut in half, emissions. Shareholders slammed Chevron over Ecuador. And third, separately, Exxon lost 2 of their board seats to climate activists. And then Donziger adds, the fossil fuel era is ending. So here are photos of those headlines. So the the Dutch court ordered Shell, which is a Dutch company. So Shell obviously has to listen to a Dutch court. Was ordered by the Dutch court to cut their carbon emissions by 45%, which is a big move for a carbon company. I mean, that is what they do, is pump out carbon emissions. ExxonMobil rebel shareholders win seats on the board. Now, I don't know how exactly they pulled it off, but apparently 2 climate activists got onto the board of ExxonMobil, which is pretty incredible. And then here's the other one. Chevron investors back a climate proposal in rebuke to their management. So the Chevron investors, I guess it was voted on, and they backed this climate proposal. All pretty incredible, and all happening on the same day. I mean, it shows how serious these shifts are, how quickly it's. I mean, if you don't you turn off the news for 3 days, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it where the world stops using fossil fuels, because we're getting there. We're fucking getting closer. And it's people suffer to create these changes. Look at Donziger. He's almost spent 2 years in prison in his own apartment. They have him on house arrest in an apartment in New York, which means even for a lawyer, an apartment in New York is probably 5 square feet. 6 if you have a washer dryer. 6 square feet. He can't stand up in the apartment. But even for a lawyer, it's a small apartment, I'm sure. And because I lived in New York, and honestly, for the first year I lived in, this is a while ago, so these numbers have gone up a lot. But when I first moved to New York, I was 21, 22, and I paid $700 a month for one half of a bunk bed. I'm not kidding. $700, and I got the top bunk. Yes, it was the top bunk, because I'm not a punk, all right? Not taking the goddamn bottom bunk. Who do you think I am? Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea who you're talking to? Not taking the bottom bunk. Jesus Christ. Wait, think I'm just going to let farts rain down on me all night? No, I rain down the farts. So I was on the top bunk. Some guy I didn't know. I mean, he'd gone to my college, but I didn't know him. Some guy I didn't know was on the bottom bunk. I'm paying $700 to have that top bunk. And the room with our so-called bedroom with the bunk beds in it was the size of the bunk beds. So you like shimmy along the wall. It was like if you lived in like a janitor's closet or something with bunk beds. You shimmy along the wall and then you get in the bunk bed. Anyway, that was a sidetrack. So he's been under house arrest. And my point is, people suffer to create these changes. Like Donziger has suffered to create these changes, to move that Overton window, to win that lawsuit against Chevron for over nine something billion dollars. And Chevron hasn't paid it. And the only thing they can do to fight not paying it is to go after the lawyer that won, go after the court case, go after all this shit to try and just throw enough shit at the wall, just drain the resources of those going after them. And, I hope they're not winning. It seems to me they're not, because Donziger is becoming a national story, if not international story. And it's pushing the Overton window. So, guys, those are all good stories. All big movement on what can be talked about in the mainstream, because the mainstream media is just everyone knows what it is. I mean, the reason it even exists anymore is for people over 60 years old. I'm not kidding. The average age of the viewer for MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, any of the cable news is the mainstream cable news is over 60. So only over 60-year-olds are really buying into this bullshit any longer. And look, there's a lot of people over 60 who are awesome. I'm not. If you're watching this and you like my stuff, then you are one of the awesome over 60s. I'm not criticizing that. I'm not saying everybody over 60 sucks, but you're on your way out. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're not on your way out. You're gonna live forever. Listen, I'll be there soon enough. All right. So I'm not gonna criticize anybody who's 60. But you got to be 60 and awesome. Okay. I'm not going to put up with any 60 shitheads. I mean, if you're 60 and shithead, then nope, over. So yeah, but most of their ratings come from people over 60, because it's like under that age, you just don't buy that shit anymore, because you're getting stuff like this. You're getting stuff like independent media. And despite the fact that we are aggressively suppressed, I mean, I'm lucky if I get a few thousand views on YouTube anymore. They have fucking crushed our numbers. They've crushed my Facebook. They've crushed my ability to reach people, even in emails. So I get that they've crushed these things. They've suppressed it. But despite all of that, it doesn't take much. Like, all it takes is a little bit to push somebody into reality. Like, you don't need that many people to start to point at the fucking fraud and go, I think that's fake. I think there's a man behind the curtain over here. No, I know. I hear the voice coming down, but I'm pretty sure there's like a little guy behind that curtain. It just takes one person saying that a few times, and the other people go, he might be right. There might be a little guy behind that curtain. Because it doesn't take much to out a fraud. It doesn't take much to get people to wake up. And they're fighting so goddamn hard right now to hang on to this empire, to hang on to their human rights abuses, to hang on to their ability to crush countries around the world, to hang on to the idea that it's normal to have hundreds of thousands of people homeless in a country with fucking millions of empty homes littering the landscape. Yeah, but fucking empty houses, empty apartments, empty office spaces everywhere, and people homeless. That they're trying to hang on to the idea that that's normal. No. It's totally, this is the best we can do. This is the best society will ever get, is with all those people suffering. This is the best we'll ever be able to make it. This is it. It doesn't get any better than this for those who aren't fucked. For a lot of people are fucked. Loads of people are fucked. But for those who aren't fucked, this is the best it's going to get. And it is awesome. And we're not killing the planet at all with all of our shit and our military and our war and our factory farming and our fucking endless animal agriculture and ocean dead zones and all kinds of shit. We're not killing the planet at all. Because this is awesome. Everything's working fine. Everything's working fine. They're getting so desperate. They're really going to go trying to use the force. Just everything's fine. They're going to be doing the Jedi trick. So everything's cool. So anyway, exciting. Over to window. Next step is to smash it. Smash the over to window. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if people donated, all those donations will go to people who are struggling. You can also donate whether you're watching this live or not on Venmo at Lee Camp. Definitely don't miss my podcast, Government Secrets or Common Censored. Government Secrets, honestly, if you haven't checked it out recently, check it out. It's so fucking good with Graham Elwood, and you can listen for free on any of your podcast platforms. So don't miss that. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like Government Secrets. Let me know. You can email me at it's NOTAREALEMAIL at clownpenis.com. Yeah. Email me there. It's just spell out not a real email at clownpenis.com. You can email me there. And tell me, let me know what you think. Anytime. Just, you know what? Just go on long tirades about how much I suck. It really I love getting those because it helps me improve. So just do that all the time. Just send it to, not a real email at clownpenis.com. And thank you guys so much for being here. And I do these every single weekday, except sometimes. And you can check them out at leecamp.com. If you missed one, just go to leecamp.com and check them out. By the way, the new Redacted Tonight, you can now watch it on leecamp.com. You used to have to go to a separate site, but now it embeds right there. So you go to leecamp.com, you click play on the new Redacted Tonight, and it'll play uncensored, full half hour. Check it out and keep fighting.